Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I want to talk to you about a couple of things in this video. Firstly, we're having continued intense protests in Israel that are only escalating, putting pressure on the government to stop the war and reach an agreement with Hamas. We've had calls from the Israeli people ever since the beginning to agree to any deal and get the Israelis who were kidnapped in Gaza back to their families. This wasn't only coming from the people on the ground in Israel, the protesters, but many people in the Israeli military and intelligence establishments said that we need to agree on a deal and then later on see what we can do with Hamas, even if we don't reach an all-out solution with them, or if we don't defeat them according to them to 100%, we need to agree to a deal, get the people back, and then review our strategies to the future. However, Benjamin Netanyahu is still not listening and persisting with the continuation and expansion of the war, despite a lot of resistance coming from the Israeli army and from the Israeli people. The second thing that I want to talk to you about is we've had a temporary semi-solution when it comes to the Rafah crossing. Israel obviously captured the Rafah crossing after their invasion of the eastern part of Rafah, and Egypt is not willing to accept this as a new status quo and is not willing to accept Israeli legitimacy on the Rafah crossing. However, the United States attempted to and now successfully reached an agreement both with Israel and with Egypt. What's the solution? The assistance, the aid to Gaza goes from Karm Abu Salim or Kerem Shalom, that has a joint border between Gaza, Egypt, and Israel. Israel previously advised or proposed to Egypt that they would have the Kerem Shalom crossing as a replacement to the Rafah crossing, and the Egyptian side rejected. This signals that this solution could be very temporary and won't be ongoing, because Egypt doesn't want to make this a new status quo in having to deal with the Israeli forces, not people in Israel who they speak with and communicate with, on the actual borders when they allow aid into Gaza, and they're not willing to give away the Rafah crossing based on previous statements that they've made. We also had aid coming in from the pier that the United States built, and people have been reporting that some aid is getting through the pier to the northern part of Gaza in particular. And the final thing that I wanted to talk to you about is Israel sent its delegation to a European capital to try and reignite the talks between them, the mediators, and Hamas to agree on a deal when it comes to the Israeli prisoners. Now, the last proposal that was accepted by Hamas was rejected by Israel. As a matter of fact, they continued their invasion of Rafah, and they carried it on despite the fact that Hamas agreed to the proposal that it had with the mediators that reportedly Israel agreed upon previously. However, Hamas is not willing to go into a new negotiating round with Israel so long as they don't have a confirmation about the solid basic demands that they have with regards to the ceasefire. So we had an interview with Osama Hamdan, who is the Hamas representative in Lebanon. He said that there is no point in going back to the negotiations so long as we don't have our core demands met, which are ending the aggression, allowing aid in, rebuilding Gaza, and having all of the prisoners, or at least a very big chunk of the Palestinian prisoners, the majority of them, going back to the Palestinian side, and them releasing, obviously, the Israelis who were kidnapped on the 7th of October in what they call honorable prisoner exchange deal in Hamas. One thing that they also highlighted, Osama Hamdan in particular, is the fact that it's not only pointless to continue so long as Israel isn't willing to guarantee, and the fact that they don't trust anything when it comes to Israel and their proposals, it's the fact that the United States is unable to bind Israel to accept a deal that will later on be monitored by the United States, Egypt, Qatar, and the United Nations.